Right, so what I'm going to do is, you can see there's task 3. You must remember this is going to be submitted today, okay? So 2:30 today is the deadline. If you don't submit it by 2:30, then you will get capped. Again, as usual, if you submit it and there's a few changes to be made, you can resubmit. But if it's miles off, then you won't. I'm not going to talk through P1 and P2 because we've done that to death now. You should already have completed P1 and P2. Hamid, you can crack on with starting a small business. Yeah. D1, all right. D1 is an extension of P1. Hopefully, you've done quite a lot of that already. Yeah. So what you've got is you've got 4 extra bullet points that you need to talk through. You need to make sure that you look at the cost versus the benefit of each of your promotional mix. You need to look at how the choice of your promotional mix is dependent on the target market. So if, for example, it is a premium product, then you're going to look maybe more at direct marketing, at personal selling. If you're targeting another business, we discussed this last time, would you use advertising? No. Why not?
Because you're not advertising to other business trying to attract. By advertising, you'd be doing it to the customer.
You can advertise to other business. We get free promotional materials to us in leaflets and stuff. But if you're business to business, more often than not, you're going to look more at personal selling because you've identified one particular business. With advertising, you're kind of casting a net, aren't you? Trying to get as much as possible, trying to get as many people as possible to buy your product. Whereas direct marketing, personal selling, you're focusing that much more on the individual. Looking at also the markets. So some markets change all the time. So Leah, with yours, it's rapidly changing. Fashion changes so much. You need to take that into consideration of your promotional mix.
Yeah, but I read about that because we discussed that, so it didn't change. Although it changes season to season.
Yeah, but the promotional mix wouldn't change.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So the market is changing, but you're saying it doesn't change so much that the promotional mix needs to change. That's fine. That's fine. You need to make sure, though, with D1, that you link it into meeting objectives. And this is the bit where I think that you might not have done so far. So you've covered these bullet points, I should hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you've got to do then is say, how does what the business does in terms of their promotional mix allow them to achieve their marketing objectives? So how does, for example, their application of ADA or their B2B choices allow them to increase their market share, to increase revenue? So really all it's doing is linking back to business objectives, marketing objectives. So actually it's just a couple of inserted sentences here and there. So you talk about your choices, you talk about how it's applicable, but then you link it back to specific marketing objectives. Are we quite close there? With the exception of that little bit there, hopefully D1's kind of done.
I've done all the points except for that little bit.
So just the bit, the objective part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I kind of thought. For M1, you're building on what you've done for P2. So remember P2, you've done your promotional mix. You're now looking at how it sits within the whole marketing mix. So how does physical evidence, process, people, place, all the P's, how does that actually work with the promotional mix? Do you remember when I came over last week and spoke to you about, we put the BMW advert on the boards, and I talked through how, because it's a premium product, that's reflected in the marketing communications, in the message, it's reflected in the physical evidence, the people, the processes. You know, if you go into a BMW garage, you expect an excellent service. You don't expect good customer service, it needs to really stand out. It needs to be excellent, premium, just like the product is. When you were answering P2, did you talk about branding as you were going through? Yeah? That was a recommendation I made because all that is premium pricing, so that's a brand value. If it's value, as in cheap, that's part of their brand. So what you're doing is keeping it back. Think back to actually what you did for P1 of marketing, September 2012. I know it's miles away, but you've got your work, haven't you? So thinking about what is branding and how is that communicated through marketing. M1 is achieved if you do P2 extremely well, and then you look at how the business uses branding to target a particular segment. So what you're doing here is it's bringing back a little bit of marketing segmentation. So thinking about how does the design of an advert target a segment of the market. So that could be a particular age range. So thinking again, focusing on that BMW advert, talking about artists, and it's a little bit of, the code's quite clever in there, isn't it? It took us a bit of a while to work out about the artists, and not all artists are depressed. What kind of age range would you think that's being targeted at?
Obviously, like middle to.
I would agree. Because it's artists and things, the wording, the coding in it is a little bit complex. And the fact it is looking about artists and depression within art, it is quite, I would say, quite middle class, possibly, and possibly 30 to 40-year-olds plus. So what you're doing is you're saying this is what they've done, and this is how it links into their brand, and this is how it links into specific target market. Okay? So again, if you've done P2 well, there's not loads to do for M1 at all, is there? You can see it's just making sure you're referring to branding and you're referring to specific target markets as you're going through your explanation. Okay? Anyone got any questions? No? Okay? Brilliant.